Hello, my name is Viveka Suharski, and this is the Community Health Project for Teenage Suicide, Community Health Concern. Again, by me, Viveka Suharski, for Indiana State University, class Nursing 444 or Community Health Nursing. And why should we care about this presentation? The purpose of this presentation is to aid healthcare professionals on understanding teenage suicide. A healthy community is one where the vulnerable are accounted for and aided, and nurses are often the first to interact with someone who may be suicidal. So, following the completion of this presentation, an individual will be able to define the risk population for teenage suicide, define what suicide is, identify suicidal behaviors and warning signs, and identify available resources for those at risk for suicide. At this point in the presentation, please review the available pretest as well as the handout available. Learning objectives. 1. Who is at risk? Define the at-risk population. 2. Why suicide? Define suicide and the potential reasons behind the action. 3. What are the signs? Identify warning signs and behaviors for teenage suicide. And 4. How to help. Identify available treatments, resources, and interventions for the risk population. Learning objective number 1. Who is at risk? Be able to identify the population at risk. The teenager. A teen is defined as an individual between the ages of 13 and 19. Teen suicide. Suicide is the willful self-termination of life. For this presentation, the definition is expanded to the willful self-termination by an individual aged 13 to 19 years old. Teenage suicide is preventable. Suicide is the second leading cause of death of individuals 10 to 24 years old. 1 in 5 teens have considered suicide seriously. In 2003, 8% of teens have attempted suicide, and approximately 1,700 teens die each year in the U.S. from suicide. Boys are more likely to die by suicide. Again, 1 in 5 teens have considered suicide as a serious option. Learning objective number 2. Understand why. Reasoning. Understanding the reasoning behind suicide may help healthcare providers aid in recognizing the signs and appropriate interventions. Remember, teenage suicide is preventable. Suicide is a combination of inadequate problem solving and the influence of assumed unsurmountable pain. Young minds do not have experience or confidence in others to help. Support systems are often small, limited to friends or family. Teenage brains are underdeveloped. The section for thought and planning, or the prefrontal cortex, develops slower than the center for impulse and emotion, amygdala and hippocampus. Learning objective number 3. Warning signs and behaviors. Warning signs. Withdrawing from friends, family, activities. These are drastic personality changes that are not typical. Having known depression or other mental health disorder. Unusual, violent, or rebellious behavior, including sexual promiscuity, stealing, or breaking promises. Writing about, talking about, or joking about suicide. Giving away personal items, and suddenly having large amounts of energy. Some of the more prevalent warning signs include depression, being withdrawn, major changes in life, exhibiting risky behavior, a death of someone close in the family, disinterest in activities or subjects that once had a lot of appeal, weight change, a previous attempt, somatic pain, family history, new onset insomnia, and lack of concentration. All are potential warning signs. These are not all warning signs, but some of the more prevalent ones. Interventions. Potential interventions for someone for suicide include depression, acknowledging and addressing the root cause, support, who can the teen turn to and who will listen, and resources. What does treatment look like? Addressing depression. Suicide is often the result of untreated or unregulated depression. Without support, help, and coping mechanisms, a teen may follow through with their plan to end their life. Be a source of support. Offering an individual a chance to find solace in another can greatly help aid a suicidal teen and create a stable foundation. Help identify need for mental health treatment or substance abuse locations if needed, and in some cases, medications may be required to address chemical imbalances, which can help relieve depression in some youths. Addressing depression. Below are 4 different ways in which therapy can help aid a teen in addressing their depression. Attachment-based family therapy is meant to repair strained bonds between parents and teens. Cognitive behavioral therapy is meant to teach the teen how to clarify and interpret thoughts and feelings. Motivational enhancement therapy can help a teen into transformative healing. And finally, non-formula type therapies, like those found in art therapy, music therapy, meditation, and journaling, are all ways to help aid in self-expression. Being there. Often those in crisis believe that they are alone. For every person who may attempt or complete the act of suicide, many others will suffer with intrusive thoughts and suicidal ideation. Suicidal ideation is defined of having or romanticizing thoughts of ending one's life. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline. 1-800-272-TALK. This is a national service funded by the federal government. It is available nationally and within any state. It is open and manned 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. It is meant to provide another individual contact with a trained professional who can aid in the prevention of suicide. At this point in the presentation, it is suggested that you take the post-test and see what you have learned. For additional information and resources on teenage suicide, check out the following resources.